Video games. Not everyone plays them, but there sure are a ton of people that do. Literally. It's been estimated that about 58% of Americans play video games. And if the average weight is about 150 pounds per person, that's really heavy. So, with so many people exposed to the world of video games, it's no wonder that there was concern for what was put into the games. This is where the controversy of video game censorship comes into play. And different games demanded different types of censorship. Starting all the way back to the 1970s and the Atari 2600, there came about a little game called Custer's Revenge. In this game, you played as a naked little fella named Custer as he dodged arrows on his way to have coitus with a vaguely pixelated nude Native American girl. Obviously, this game caused a lot of controversy, and many groups sought to take the entire game off of store shelves. But not all games have such vulgarity. Some games, like Final Fantasy IV, merely renamed their skills from holy to white, so it wouldn't conflict with religious groups. Yet even so, general nudity and sexual explicitness continued to be a controversial subject in video games, and their involvement with censorship. Now, if I were the parent of a few young kids, and I saw the violence and sexual explicitness that some video games offered, I'm pretty sure I'd never want them to touch them. This is what we call moral panic, a case where people see something as a threat to the social moral status quo. Naturally, for many, this is a cause for worry. In research, there have been studies that link aggressive violent behaviors with video gaming. Participants that played the violent video games ended up displaying more aggressive behaviors in later tests. But not all the variables can always be accounted for and isolated with no consequences. Other studies have shown the intent of the gamer also affects their behavior. Participants that had a positive goal in mind while playing the video games, such as saving a friend or an NPC, ended up not showing any of the aggressive behaviors previously associated with violent games. But still, there are even more studies that show inconclusive results as to whether the link between video games and behavior are truly valid. Now, as a developer, sometimes it can be disheartening to have to change your game to match the requirements put forth by censorship. Some argue that it alters the original intent of the game. Some argue that it takes away from the full experience. But ultimately, censorship of a video game can be seen as a violation of the First Amendment, a violation of the freedom of speech. As of June 27, 2011, the Supreme Court ruled that video games qualify for First Amendment protection, like protected books, plays, and movies that communicate ideas through familiar literary devices and features distinctive to the medium. So for now, the policy vacuum created by the muddle of the new media form of video games has been resolved. But as everything related to technologies, there are advancements all the time. And with the advent of new virtual reality gaming, like the Oculus Rift and Google Glass, there will surely be new policies that need to be specified. What kind of psychological impact could virtual reality have on the more youthful generations? Will censorship become necessary as games become more integrated into our realities? People's opinions will always differ, but no matter the differences, we will need to come up with a more specific policy as games become more prevalent in our lives, whether that's a good thing or not. What's your opinion?